Reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Minutes of the regular meeting held on Tuesday, June 5th, 2012. Members present: Joe True, Carl Davis, Robert Milhouse, Tom Landis, and Carmen Fleischauer. Guests of the board: Attorney Kelly Page. The meeting was called to order at 7:30 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited. Minutes of the regular meeting of May 1st, 2012 were read with no corrections. Motion by Milhouse, second by Landis to adopt the minutes as read. Motion passed. Treasury report was given showing a balance in the general fund of $210,801.43. The treasurer's report will stand as read. Motion by Landis, second by Davis to pay all bills as audited. Motion passed. Supervisor called on guests that were present and allowed them to speak. Larry Hummel, County Road Commission, gave a brief report on the county-wide road millage that will be on the August primary for renewal. After discussion, a motion by Davis, second by Landis to support Resolution 06052012, which is in support of the renewal of the county-wide road millage in Van Buren County. Motion passed. Resolution adopted. Rick Bowes, County Road Commissioner, said most topics were covered but was available for questions. Judge Kathleen Brickley, recently appointed as Circuit Court Judge for the 36th District, is a candidate in the general election. Matt Cooper, candidate for Circuit Court Judge for the 36th District in the general election. Don Hanson, Van Buren County Commissioner for the 6th District, reported on county activities. Karen Hamry, candidate for the Van Buren County Register of Deeds. Fire Department report: Sister Lakes Fire Department had 2 fire runs working on the ISO rating. Keeler Township Fire and Rescue had 6 fire runs and 14 first responder calls. Keeler Fire Chief submitted 2 names for Fire Department probationary status. Ambulance report: there was none received that night, but I did get it 5 days later. There were 13 priority 1 calls with an average response time of 6.50 minutes. Zoning report: none received. Deputy and Code Enforcement report: Greg Pentland said he visited the Spurrell residence and he gave his report on the township activities. Corridor Improvement Authority report: there are approximately 122 people signed up for the triathlon. Mary Kinney is asking to bump up the advertising budget for the CIA to $7,500. Motion by Milhouse, second by Landis to approve the advertising budget for the CIA to $7,500. Rodney Pletz was presented to be a member of the CIA and Rocky Gulliver was made vice chair. Tom Neary spoke on the triathlon. Mary Kinney had a letter addressed to Joe True concerning a breakdown of the way the checks are received and left for the treasurer to pick up. After discussion, a motion by Davis, second by Milhouse, that all checks received should be dropped off at the Township Hall and placed in the treasurer's mailbox, or they can be mailed to Keeler Township, P.O. Box 65, Hartford, Michigan 49057. Motion passed. Legal update: Attorney Kelly Page reported on the Right to Farm Act and that there has been a 30-day adjournment on Grace Hendrickson's property. Topic for discussion: the SMC Township Scholarship. 1 application was received from Mark Pica. Motion by Davis, second by Fleischauer to approve Mark Pica for the SMC Township Scholarship. Motion passed. Road millage resolution: it was approved when Larry Hummel spoke. Road work sheets for the township. A motion by Milhouse, second by Davis to approve the road worksheets for the township and have Joe True send them to the Road Commission. Motion passed. Office hours in Sister Lakes: Joe True said he was available in Sister Lakes on Saturdays from 9 to 12 at the fire department. Lions Club fireworks. Motion by Davis, second by Milhouse to approve a $300 contribution to the Lions Club for fireworks display. Motion passed. Deputy assistance for the July 4th weekend. Motion by Davis, second by Fleischauer to approve a $200 contribution to the Van Buren County Reserve Deputy Fund. Motion passed. Fireworks permit for Doug Swisher. No permit request was received. Correspondence: clerk had a request from Roger Mozienko of Strategic Waste Solutions, and he was offering a solid waste recycling cost reduction service agreement. After discussion, a motion by Landis, second by Davis to approve the agreement with Roger Mozienko. Motion passed. Clerk had a request from Benton Harbor Awning Intent to install a canopy over the west door entrance of the fire department building at a cost of $450. Motion by Millhouse, second by Landis to approve the request to install a canopy on the west side of the building for $450. Motion passed. Clerk had a maintenance request to present to the township to power wash the west and south wall, gold coat, sticky foam, brown coat, and fiberglass mesh, and a finish coat, proposal of $9,800. After discussion, it was suggested that we should run an ad in the paper for next month's decision. Notice received from the Federal Emergency Management Agency that the property owned by Linnell Kiley is amended that she is not in a special flood hazardous area, and the National Flood Insurance Program map will indicate that. Treasurer reported that 2 parcels are up for tax sale, and the county is asking if the township was interested in either parcel. After discussion, the board said no interest exists. Public comment, Mary Kay Peacock has purchased the Gangas property and is asking that the board consider removing the fence or put gates in so that she may have better access to her rentals. She has even offered to pay for whatever decision the township board can consider. Supervisor tabled this request until the board can review this and report back at the July 3rd meeting. Motion by Davis, second by Millhouse to review and make a decision in the public's best interest. Motion passed. Motion by True, second by Millhouse to adjourn the regular board meeting. Motion passed. Meeting adjourned at 9:25 p.m.
Any discussion on the minutes of last month? Is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report, please.
I have a treasury report for the month of June of 2012. In their general fund, we had a beginning balance of $210,801.43. Made deposits of $68,979.27. Interest of $28.10. Paid the bills the amount of $50,822.72. Ending balance of $228,986.08. Current tax fund, we had a beginning balance of $1,668.76. Made disbursements, and that was to pay the industrial facility tax, which is due in June, of $1,568.76, leaving a balance of $100 in current tax. Delinquent tax fund, we had a beginning balance of $848.58. Made deposits of $93,674.51. Made disbursements of $94,424.09, ending balance of $100 in the delinquent tax fund. And that was because of the big balance we have in the disbursements and delinquent, we received the revolving tax fund. Thank you, Mrs. McKay. Okay. That's all.
Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to accept the treasurer's report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to pay the bills is audited.
Make a motion to pay the bills as audited?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the bills as audited. I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Millhouse?
Yes.
Landis?
Yes.
True?
Yes.
Fleshauer?
Support.
Davis? Support.
We have some candidates tonight that would like to speak to us. We'll start out with Richard Ratchkovich for state representative. Come on up, Rich.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
I just, I'm kind of taken aback with the size of the group. I've been doing these, I've been trying to get to every township to introduce myself, so there's a face that goes with a name. Anyway, I live over in Matawan. I've lived there for 20 years. I moved there from the Kalamazoo area. I built a house, basically, it's right on the county line. I lived there with my wife, Colleen, and raised 3 kids. They're off in their careers now, doing well. I guess I got to explain a little bit of changes to the what's now called the 66th district. I think there's been some changes and a number change, but basically this district is all of Van Buren County, and the new part is they're dipping into Kalamazoo County, the northwest corner of Kalamazoo County, which is Alamo and Cooper Township, and they're including the city of Parchment. So this district goes all the way from Parchment to the lake. And so it's quite large. I'm finding that out, trying to get around to make all these visits. It's it's been a real education. Anyway, I am a retired teacher from Portage Schools. I taught there for 42 years. First 10 years or so, I was an upper elementary classroom teacher. The last 25, 26 years, I was a coordinator and developer of gifted and talented programming for the district, which included elementary, middle school, and high school. The reason why I stuck around so long, that job was fun. And I had great support from the community and the board and administrators, and it was just a wonderful place to work. Anyway, I retired about 6-7 years ago, and living at home. And I'll tell some about my educational background too. I graduated from Western Michigan University with a bachelor's, and I have a master's in administration and supervision. And then I have extended coursework at the University of Connecticut and University of Virginia for educational background in gifted and talented programming. Those are the two studded star universities you go to if you want to know more about what you're doing. And so I spent several summers there getting background. And I guess the reasons I want to get back to, and I have very close friends that found out that I was running for the office, and they said, why? You know, you're comfortable, you're retired, you know, you idiot. And so, not that I didn't have enough to do, I just had plenty to do, but I just became a little more emotionally involved with what's going on, especially in Lansing. There's some place that I thought I could do something. And the party, the Democratic Party here in Van Buren County, they came and asked me if I'd consider running, and I took several weeks to think about it, and I kind of have a late start here. But I decided to do that because the more I read, the more involved I got. I was very concerned over what I looked at all the stuff, and it all boiled down to destructive legislation. And I started looking at all the legislation that people were upset with, and I kind of fell into four categories. Basically, the governmental interference at the state level, like with the emergency manager law, the idea of considering the voting and what they're doing with the regulations on voting to kind of not prevent but deter people from voting and making it hard to get to them. We should be doing just the opposite. The other thing, the other category that it fell in was privatization, and I just do not care for privatization of schools, privatization of prisons. There's a privatization of local services. You know, the people in a lot of townships and small village and so forth having problem with money, and then the state pushes the privatization issue, and we're losing our grip on our democracy. And you know, the people aren't running things anymore. And the same with the emergency manager thing. The people are not running things anymore. They're taking this away, and that's really what bothers me. It goes down to a big, all this little stuff. Big issue of keeping our democracy here and keeping the people in control. And the other thing is taxes. They were able to give the corporate a $1.3 billion tax cut, but guess who paid for it? The people that are paying that tax because of retirement is being taxed now, and the tax credits were dissolved that were on there for people of low income. And they had the money, so they give it to the corporations and, you know, then tax the middle class and the low income workers. And it's just, as I went through there, I had about 30 or 40 of these things, and I could talk all night on them, but I just want to give you some samples of how I arrived at that. And also, the one thing that I want to close with education. Education has been underfunded, I don't know, since I started teaching, but it's getting worse. I mean, they have got things down to bare bones now. We've got to restore funding to education. And but basically, I think in looking at all this, it's been too easy to get stuff through legislation without discussion, without reason, without compromise. They're not listening to everybody, and I want to go there and be another voice to be heard, to bring some balance to the discussion and compromise. So, anyway, that's where I stand and where I'm from, and I tell you, when I walked in here, walking into a group this size, you know you're going to address is intimidating. And I felt a genuine warmness, didn't rattle me at all. I felt very comfortable. You know, people introduced themselves and so forth, so I felt there's a different feel in this room. So,
Are you gonna take questions? Are there any questions for Richard?
I want one of your cards.
okay, I say I didn't come prepared. There's about 20 cards
Well, I
here.
got dibs. Thank you.
Okay, I can leave this up here and people can scramble for it. I'll put it over by the desk. So if you have any other questions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Our next candidate is Paul DeYoung. He's running for Register of Deeds.
Oh, I'll remember. I'll put some of that, please.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, thank you very much. It's great to be back here in Keeler and see so many faces. There's a few familiar faces that I remember from the last time I was here. And if I haven't met you, I look forward to that opportunity and also the opportunity of earning your support as we move towards August 7th, which is when the election will be decided for the Van Buren Register of Deeds. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. My wife Anita and I live in Waverly Township near Glendale. We have 5 children. I'm active in my church, I'm active in the schools that my kids attend, and I serve in many different leadership positions in community and service organizations. So why do I want to run for the Register of Deeds? Well, one reason is I like to help and serve people. And I have over 29 years of customer service experience, 9 of which was in my own business in the customer service industry. I'm an outsider to county government, but I believe that I can work well with the other department heads and elected officials, many of which I know through my civic involvement and also my business. I believe I have a good skill set for the position. I look forward to the prospect of working with the appointed register, Jill Arnold and Pam in the office, and bringing that office into the future. I also personally believe that clear and accurate ownership of private property is one of the foundations of our economic system and greatly affects our local economy. And the last reason that I'm running is I just believe it's the right thing for me to do. So what do I bring to the position? Well, I bring my business experience, which has been primarily in technology and digital commerce. I've gone to every Register of Deeds office surrounding Van Buren County and met with just about every Register of Deeds in Southwest Michigan to learn best practices. I've attended 2 statewide Michigan Register of Deeds educational conferences at my own expense, where I was the only person from Van Buren there to learn what the future holds for this position. Some of you may recall earlier this year, this position was slated for elimination. And I'm glad it wasn't, or I wouldn't be here speaking to you tonight. But fortunately, it was saved by 1 vote. And the last thing that I bring to the position is passion. I'm interested in the land records. I like the history of it. I really think that I can make a difference in that office. And I really feel like it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And some of you may remember when I was here 4 years ago asking for your support then. And I just believe that I have done everything that I can as a private citizen to prepare myself to be your next Register of Deeds. And that's why I'm not too proud to ask you for your help, for your support, and most importantly, that you register your vote for DeYoung for Deeds on August 7th.
Our next candidate is Juris Cap for prosecutor.
Thank you, Joe. I too am surprised the number of people. I'm more comfortable addressing 12 at a time. I'm Juris Capps. I'm the prosecuting attorney. I have been for the last 30 years. I live in Alameda Township with my wife Mary. My 91-year-old father lives with us, and right now my 27-year-old child came back from Singapore, where he worked a couple of years, decided he wanted to be back home. So now he's with us, and we're going to start looking for someplace to put him. Like I said, I've been the prosecutor for 30 years. I believe that I have a record that shows that I've served that office with honesty, fairness, competence, and integrity. And I would ask your support in continuing to do that. I believe that the record would reflect that I've been an effective administrator. I've looked out for the county's money. I've challenged those who aren't as careful with taxpayer money as I have been. Also, I'm sure that I have tried more cases. I'm a trial lawyer, not just an administrator, probably more cases than anybody in Van Buren County history, whether it be a defense attorney or a prosecutor. I've had many, many serious cases, many murder cases, first, second degree murder convictions, armed robberies, criminal sexual conduct, on and on. There's nobody that can match that experience. I don't do favors. I don't accept favors. That's why I have the support of a certain group of people, which I truly appreciate, and there are other people that don't support me because they know that there aren't any cozy relationships with me. I don't do things for political expediency. In fact, I don't believe that politics has a place in law enforcement. Politics has crept its way into other areas, whether it's social services, education, and most recently we hear about health care. It has no place in law enforcement. That's why I believe I have the support of the overwhelming majority of law enforcement in Van Buren County, including Sheriff Dale Gribler. I would encourage you to check with other police professionals, the chiefs of police around this county, and the officers. And I think you'll find that I have the overwhelming support of those people. And I believe that the reason I have that is because of my record, because of my working with them. My opponent has worked with them, so they've had a chance to gauge. And I'm the person that they support. And I would ask for your support also on August 7th. In political campaigns, sometimes you hear things that may or may not be true. If there's anybody that has any questions whatsoever, I'd be more than happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Why'd you fire Mike? He seems like such a nice man.
Well, that's your opinion. There's been, basically the background of it was that there was a situation regarding a filling of a judgeship in Van Buren County. There was legislation that was introduced contrary to the State Court Administrator's Office's opinion. I didn't think it was right. I thought it was a political move. I went to the county board. I explained to them my position, said I don't think that the legislature is going to listen to me. As it turned out, they didn't listen to the county board either, but the county board got on board with what I thought was the right thing to do. And that is really where the whole thing kind of started, because I think I angered some people, again, those people that look for special favors. Okay? And Mike was in a position, despite his protestations, where he had indicated to other people, other elected officials, that he intended to run against me. He saw that opportunity, which is his right. Okay? But he does not have the right to work behind my back, send text messages undermining me to other people that he misdirected to me, which might show his level of expertise. And basically, I can't have a situation where I'm trying to work toward a particular goal, that being justice and law enforcement, and have somebody in the office that's going to be there to undermine me. Okay? I can't do that. So hopefully that answers your question. Any others? Yes?
How many attorneys are in your staff?
There is myself, and my chief assistant is Keith Robinson. Keith and I have been together for over 30 years. Couldn't ask for a better person, incidentally. And then I have, there are 4 other attorneys, so there are 6 of us total. When I started back 35 years ago, we had 4. So we've increased by 50%. Not to criticize other departments, but I think if you take a look at the fiscal responsibility, that we have increased a whole lot less than other departments that are kind of in the same business. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sheriff. Okay, I'm going to slip Karen McKay in because I think she's going to be somewhere and she wants to talk about homestead exemptions.
Hi, I'm Karen McKay, the county treasurer, and I just wanted to shed some light on a situation that has gotten out of control. It was brought to my attention that there was a person who was getting a homestead exemption that shouldn't have. The assessor sent me a note, said, you know, there's this property, it's got 22 rental cottages on it, how can it get a homestead? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good question. And I talked with the Department of Treasury, and they told me absolutely not, this was not a proper exemption. So I denied the exemption, sent the homeowner a bill, a large bill, and then it was brought to my attention that there are two people with the same name who own adjoining parcels, and there's a life lease, each one lives on their own parcel, therefore both parcels are eligible for principal residence exemption. I have since revoked the denial that I did. I have a meeting set up with the assessor next Wednesday to go through and figure out what the proper percentages are, because the property that senior lives on that has the cottages, we have to take the total value of that property, subtract the value of the cottages, get his percentage. And the same with Junior's property and his rental cottages and get his percentages. They are both eligible. They are both probably very close to where they should be. And I wish I would have gotten proper information in the first place. And perhaps all of this wouldn't have happened. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just confused. How does rental properties
The-
get an
the-
exemption as a homestead?
The value of those properties are removed from he lives on the property.
Right.
So his house and his agricultural business are exempt. The value of the rental houses would be removed.
So they would be taxed for that?
Yes, yeah. It wouldn't be 100% exemption, it would be a partial.
Well, we followed through with the news because this was all on the news today.
I have tried several times.
Do the rest of us have to worry about a couple people throwing us into this fire?
Probably.
Ooh, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious who brought this to your attention to begin with.
I believe that,
Let me take some.
well, it came to my office through the assessor, who said that he had gotten it from the supervisor.
Thank you.
I'll take claim for it. I've been going through property values, and I asked a question of my elected official like I should.
Joe, you didn't check into this first?
I'm not an assessor. I had the information in front of me. I gave it to the assessor took it to the county. End of my story.
You didn't know nothing about
End
it?
of my
I
story.
guess I'm curious as to who knew there were two Don Blackmans.
A lot of us.
Yeah.
A whole lot of us.
Obviously some of you.
Everybody but those two.
Yeah. And without doing a title search, I never would have found that there was this life lease. And you don't normally do a title search when you're doing principal residence exemption audits. So, yes,
So
sir.
can we assume that the news report was issued in error?
It was totally in error.
Look at the other one, you had papers.
Pardon?
That's a private.
Haven't seen one. No.
How can you stand there and say it was in her when you hadn't seen it?
Because there is no issue.
This is unbelievable.
Thank you, Greg.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? I do have another place I have to be, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, I don't see Rick Bose. Is he here today?
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, Rick Bose from the Road Commission is not here. We'll go with Don Hanson from the County
Don't
Board of
shake your head at
Commissioners.
me.
Thank you, Joe. You've been busy. There's only one issue I want to address. I'm in favor of having better industry in the state of Michigan, but one of the things we have to be a little bit concerned about is that the State Tax Commission, this is a report they've through their new order, has shifted $208 million in taxable value to industrial personal. And they're going to, utilities they weren't going to touch, but manufacturing, and so there's a question as far as this $208 million in taxable value, they put industrial personal. If the legislature exempts industrial personal, which they haven't yet, but they're considering, that could make the county lose $1.5 million a year. That would be 25 employees. That would be all the non-mandated, which would be MSU, and it could be road patrol. So we're having this on our next board meeting, and we're going to invite the legislators. We want to know which direction they're going, because we want to encourage manufacturing and buying of like K&M buys a machine, but if we get into the nuclear power plants, there's millions of dollars involved there. We'd have to restructure how we finance things, so we just have to be cautious in making these changes, that's all. So we're really concerned about it, so we're going to invite them, all the legislators there, and take a look at this, so we have to be careful. That's all I have.
Any questions for Don? Move on to the fire departments. Keeler Fire Department?
Yeah, we had 13 medical calls and 3 fires. I'd like to thank Sister Lakes Fire Department for the assist that they did on 687. I'm not sure at this time exactly what happened, but Keeler did not respond. I was on vacation, so I've spent a little bit of time trying to figure out exactly what went on. We've had dispatch problems, we've had radio problems. We've just got to find out exactly what happened. And to this point, I don't know what it is, but when I do find out, I will come back and report exactly what happened. And again, mutual aid works. All fire departments get into problems where you don't have enough people, and that's what mutual aid is. And that's why you need surrounding fire departments to respond, because we're volunteers. We're not in the station at all times, and we depend on each other. Thank you very much.
Sister Lakes?
We had 3 fire runs in the township, one of which is what Dave alluded to. It was just a simple, all departments hurt during the day. They hurt just as bad as they did. Just happened to call where we had the personnel around, and we responded to the call. There is an error on the report. Our average response time shows 12.5 minutes. That's actually incorrect. It's 8.3 for
Would you repeat that last part? I didn't hear that.
8.3 minute response, average response time.
Okay. For Keeler? Is that it? Okay, we have a couple applications for new people for Keeler Fire Department we need to act on. Would you go ahead and read them, Bob?
Yes, I have a couple applications. The first one is for cadet firefighter Joshua Nyatt. Mr. Landis and I looked over the application and found it all in order. He is eligible to be a cadet fireman, and we approve his application. We're looking at a firefighter, Trevor Struble, lives in the 84th Avenue here. Looked at his application. It seems to be well in order. So at this time, Mr. Landis and I would recommend the cadet for Joshua Nyatt and regular firefighter for Trevor Struble as a probationary.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Zoning report.
The Planning Commission met last month. We have several new businesses in the township, and each one that is in a commercial area is required to file a site plan. Keeler's Old Fruit Stand is being rented by a commercial business. They make wiring harnesses and high-tech harnesses. There's really no manufacturing there. They're assembling a lot of Whirlpool and different ones, and then they ship it out to UPS, and their site plan was approved. Many of you have noticed the new hot dog stand right at the same location, the pink and brown thing. That falls under the floating retail sales. That was a standalone ordinance, and that man has gone through all a letter of approval from the owner of the property, health department permit, and has a zoning compliance permit. And then we have a new retail used furniture store, and they're in the process of getting a site plan review. We'll have that next month. And we have several issues that we're looking at in the zoning book to update that, and the Planning Commission has got several pages to read for our next month's meeting, which is the 4th Tuesday of the month. That's a public meeting. Anybody interested in that is welcome to come. We will have a ZBA meeting the 17th of this month on a front yard and side yard setback in Oak Park, for a person who wants to build an addition onto their house. So they're looking for a variance on that.
Any questions for Alan? I missed the ambulance report, so we'll go back to that.
I didn't get it. I made the call today. They said that Amy was off to some medical leave, so
Okay.
it'll follow.
We go into code enforcement and the deputy's report.
I don't have anything for code enforcement for the last one. My stats for last month: 33 property inspections, 41 traffic stops, took 9 criminal complaints, made 1 felony arrest, 2 misdemeanor arrests, and 7 non-criminal complaints. I issued 30 citations. I had 1 suspended license arrest, 4 seatbelt citations, 19 speeding citations. I issued 15 verbal warnings, 1 written warning. Assisted the sheriff's office 6 times, outside agencies 5 times. I ran stationary radar 14 times in the township, made 2 field contacts, and had 1 motorist assist.
Questions for Greg? Thanks, Greg.
Hopefully everybody saw us on M152 a couple weeks ago. Trying to get out and slow them down. We have a lot of people back up. So.
CIA report?
We've got a couple of new sponsors on board, plus we're up to 214 total registrants to date.
While we're on this subject, we failed to approve Rod Pletz last month after we discussed it. So I'm opening up for rediscussion on Rod Pletz for the CIA. Is there any discussion from the board? Is there a motion to approve Rod Pletz for the CIA board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Legal update.
Joe, the only,
Hold it.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to check on the triathlon. I got a letter a couple of weeks ago and sent notices out to my people that with directions on how they could get out that morning because of the triathlon. Today I got a letter that says it's going to be closed from Napier to the cemetery. So they cannot get out that way, and my help can't get in that way. And people can't get to work. My neighbor was concerned about getting to work, and there's no way. And there's several resorts like mine on 95th that those people have to get out between 10 and 10:30 so that things can get done so that the other ones can come in the afternoon, which won't be a problem. It's the morning.
I will let Mary discuss that, but it's my understanding it's not, the whole road's not gonna be closed. It's gonna be closed down at the 95th and 690 area.
It's gonna be closed probably from the cemetery all the way up to Rocky's Bowling Alley. So if people really had to get in, they could park at Rocky's and walk in. It's one day out of the year. I think we can sacrifice a little bit of time. Rocky's over at the other end, but Rocky's would probably be the closest place. He's offered his parking lot for anybody that needs it.
Mary, can you let us know what hours that's going to be shut down?
From 7 till noon.
From 7 till noon.
So the people in all those resorts then will have to move their stuff out Friday to Rocky's parking lot?
That or make other arrangements with the people that rent to them.
We'll be able to
I
work
tried
something
to
out
do that.
traffic-wise,
Couldn't,
from our
unless I
standpoint, we'll be
give
able to work something out
something out of it.
traffic-wise to get those people in and out of there. There shouldn't be any issue with that whatsoever.
Between Anthony and I think there can be a solution made up.
We'll make sure that all that's taken care of.
Will you get with Darlene and discuss it with her before the big date? Okay. Now, legal update.
Joe, on Henderson property, the attorney that represents the property on the call today, we were not able to discuss the information he had with the client's update. Him and I are scheduled to talk Thursday about her compliance and how far along she is currently.
Any further on Bachelor?
No, we had a closed session on that, about 45 days ago. I haven't heard anything back from the board yet about what position of 1 or 2 that we discussed in that closed session.
Okay.
If you want to meet again on that issue, on a
Might
closed
be a
session.
good idea. Sometime
Set a
I'll
time
call
and date and I can come down.
Okay, thank you. Topics for discussion. Number 1, the DNR hearing. Public hearing is going to be July 19th at 7 o'clock p.m. For all that want to come to that and have something to say. Topic number 2, we need a resolution to change the date for the board of review. There's a problem with staffing on the board of review. However, I don't think, other than Alan, anybody else is here to decide on a date. I was given the 16th, 17th, and 18th. it's my opinion it ought to be the 18th because you and I are already gonna be here on Wednesday night.
I'm gone, I'm only available on the 16th.
You're only available on the 16th. I'm not available on the 16th.
17.
How about the 17th?
But 17, 18, I have a EPA tour of Oceana.
And your alternate could be,
I'm the alternate.
I know.
We need to appoint one more person.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing of these dates, and I'm on that, so.
Rich is also on it, too,
It
as a fourth person. And Ron Jacobs, who can't make it?
I don't know, John Luker and Ron.
Oh, both can't make that date?
Well, Ron called me today and said these were the dates that were a possibility, so try to pick one. So it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to get everybody together on a single date.
It's
And
supposed to
what
be the
date was
17th,
posted on the
right?
door?
17th for when that,
The Board of Review is on the 17th on the door then?
correct, it was. But nobody could make it that day is the way I understood it. But then Ron Jacobs gave me those 3 dates, but I guess Luker couldn't make the 17th.
Is there a deadline on that one?
Well, we can make a resolution. I'm not sure how far out we can put it, but we can have a resolution to change the date. I think it has to be in July. The July Board of Review.
Makes sense.
Hey, Joe?
Yes, sir?
Just to clarify it, I don't think you can have it on the 16th, the 17th of July is the first day of the review, so you make sure it's after the 17th.
Okay.
16th won't-
Those are the
won't-
dates that
won't-
Ron
Yeah, but
Jacobs
the
gave me.
16th won't work for the statute.
I could make it on the 19th.
Thursday, the 19th? I'll write that down and then I'll call Ron and see what him and Luker are doing, okay?
What time is it supposed to be? So I
7.
can- 7 PM?
Yeah.
I should be able to make that.
Do you want to take one of those spots this time?
I'm on it.
I know, but you haven't been available, so.
Well, just the last one I wasn't available.
Joe?
The same as the DNR hearing?
Yes,
Will that conflict with the DNR hearing?
Yep.
it will. 19th won't work. Unless we do it earlier.
Well, if they have it on the 18th, who couldn't make the 18th?
What about the 20th?
Are you gonna be going on the 18th now?
Looks like that'll
No,
happen.
What about
but
the-
if Rich can make it and Ron, you only need 2 out of 3.
We're not gonna be able to do it the 19th, that's the
18th.
public
Well, what
hearing.
about the 18th?
Shoot for the 18th.
Can you make it the 18th?
That's a Wednesday night?
Oh, yeah, I could be here.
I will call Ron Jacobs. So is there a motion to change the date for the Board of Review?
I'll make a motion to have it on the 18th at 7 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Carmen's gonna talk about a resolution for speed study on M152.
I've been in contact with Gary Loyola from Michigan Department of Transportation regarding the speed limits on M152 as you're coming into Sister Lakes. And I've discussed that with him, and we're going to be looking at a resolution tonight to lower that speed limit. We'd love to see it down to 35 miles an hour. That's our wish. From about 2 blocks east of County Line Road as you're coming into Sister Lakes to 2 blocks east of County Road 690. So that whole stretch through the commercial, through the public access of Round Lake, past the school. 2 years ago, there was a little girl, as many of you know, that was killed on a holiday weekend there. There's been other accidents. I've also gone out door to door to all the residents, either along M152, the businesses there, and the people on the side roads that have to come out that direction. And as I was going around Saturday morning, there was actually a crash that happened right behind me. So, and people were not slowing down very fast once we were all blocked off. But anyways, so that's what we're going to be proposing. What they have told me is what they will do is they will take this, then they're going to do a speed study, and we have to abide by whatever they come up with as far as, he said, it could stay the same, it could go lower, it could go higher. And I said, really? It's gonna go high, possibly go higher with all the information that, we've been given him. The other thing too is I said, don't you ever take safety into consideration? And he said, well, if there's enough of a safety issue, we will, and our resolution outlines all the different factors for safety. So that's something that we are going to be voting on tonight and passing along to Michigan Department of Transportation, and then it's in their hands, but I'm willing to continue to fight for it. I know there's been several people through the years who have tried to lower the speed limit and have not gotten anywhere, but we're gonna try again.
Got a question. I haven't really noticed, although I lived here all, it was like 27 years. Is there a boat, like a sign at the top of Bailey's Hill, or anything that says there's a boat crossing down there at all? Is there any way we can propose that there's a sign put up on both ends for that?
I can propose it to him when I send him, or when we send him the resolution back.
Okay.
I know another issue is we have the school, and they have posted signs, 25 miles an hour when the school is in session. However, if you're on one of those side roads that are kind of in between those signs and you pull out, you don't know that it's flashing, so that's another issue.
In the past, Carmen, we've had to put some funds up to have a study done.
Okay, and I did ask him about that. He said there would be no cost to us because they have the equipment to do the study. We already asked that.
The county charges. The county is the one that'll charge us.
The county will, because it's a
If we do
Michigan.
a county road speed study.
Oh, this is for the state of Michigan.
Yeah,
This is-
so they probably.
It's the state highway.
The state highway.
Officer Pellin, you've done some radar work there, have you? And what is your findings there?
I put it to him in the form of an email, and his response is, since we have the equipment already in the office, there would be no cost to you, meaning the township.
I can't tell you how fast people are always going, but I can tell you that I write speeding tickets out there all the time. We did, I guess a speed trap, if we want to call it that. We ran laser the other day, a couple weeks ago with a couple cars, and we didn't stop anything less than 10 miles over the speed limit, and two of us, within an hour, I made 8 stops, wrote 6 tickets. A partner made 10 stops, wrote 8 tickets.
Which side of,
Are we utilizing?
and what
that was-
52 were you on? Were you on
We
the,
were running from Pitcher Drive, east and west. So as they were coming from the school zone, and as they were coming into Sister Lakes.
nothing on the other side of the hills by Sister Lakes Community
Well,
Church?
there's just no, we did that side because there's nowhere good for us to park squad cars on the other side.
Not without
Actually,
being
there's-
seen, you're right.
Well, it's not even a matter of that. There's nowhere good for me to even park my car and run stationary radar through the strip on Sister Lakes, because there's
Okay.
either a ditch on every side.
I'll
or I
give you
have
a
sit
chance
in
to ask questions. Greg, let him go ahead and finish.
Or I have to sit in a business parking lot, and that just kind of messes everything up all day long. So.
Pardon me, Joe.
That's okay. Are there any questions on that subject?
I just had a comment for Carmen.
Okay.
2 years ago, when we had that fatal accident there, that was our thought, was to try and do a speed study to lower that, and we kind of backed away only because the potential was there for that limit to be raised. With the amount of people who are already disobey the law there, our concern was that it would be raised to 55, which isn't going to help anybody. I'm not saying I don't support the idea. I think it's a great idea to lower the speed limit, but that was what our reason for not following through that 2 years ago.
And he asked when we wanted it done. I said right now, because they are speeding through there. And I've read through all the information as what they're looking for, and they're going to gauge that, just like you're saying. And if everyone's doing the 55, then they're going to say, well, that's the average of what everyone's doing. We're going to raise it. But I'm more focused on the safety issues here, and I think that everything that has been outlined in here, first of all, you've got the residential, you've got the public access, you've got the school there, we've got commercial, and there's more and more people out in the community who are riding bikes, walking, running along that area. And I've got all this written down here. So that's what we're gonna shoot for as far as the safety issue overall.
I got one more question. Is there any kind of ruling as far as line of sight, for like, because I know there's areas when I come up the end of Pitcher Drive, there are shrubbery and stuff out there, and you cannot see the top of the hill, and you take your chances on the lower road looking up towards the east, because there's shrubbery in the way, and the only way you can really tell if somebody's coming is because if they got their lights on or something. So I don't know if there's a ruling as far as a setback of shrubbery or being cut or whatever too. Maybe you can check into that.
Yeah, there's a clear vision area in the zoning, like a 45-degree angle, and there's a measurement that I can take and see whether or not that.
Particularly the area where the little girl was killed a couple years ago.
On the upper drive.
Well, no, if you're on the lower road and you're looking towards the upper drive, there's a lot of shrubbery there along in front of that house that is very detrimental. Is trying to see what's coming down the hill.
Neither of those roads are actually clear in that subdivision are.
Clear cut enough to see what's coming.
Any more discussion?
I just want to make a comment on these speed studies. They scare me. I would rather see everybody slow down too. But they just did one on 687, and though they didn't lower the speed limit, they shortened the distance that you have to do 25 on that road. So this may all backfire. And I'm wondering, if you have enough supporters, you can find out when and where exactly they're doing these speed studies and just have people drive by real slow.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Carmen, when you say 2 blocks in a distance of feet, yards, half mile, what do you consider a block? Because out here, we consider a block a square mile.
No, just a clocked mile. I'm sorry, a clocked block on your odometer. And the area I'm proposing is about 1 mile stretch.
On either side?
It's the two blocks east of County Line Road to the 2 blocks east of County Road 690
Yeah.
is about a mile right there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to send a resolution to the state.
How's the resolution read?
She has a
I do
sample.
have it here.
Go ahead
You want
and
me
read
to
it, Carmen.
it?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, a resolution approving a policy to reduce the speed limit on M152 between 2 blocks east of County Line Road to 2 blocks east of County Road 690 to be reduced from 45 miles per hour to no more than 35 miles per hour. Whereas high-speed limits and speeding in residential neighborhoods and through school zones is a concern of residents and Keeler Township in keeping with the public's health, safety, and welfare. And whereas it has become increasingly difficult for residents to negotiate left-hand turns or move into and out of the commercial establishments located at or within 1 block of the corner of M152 and County Road 690 in Sister Lakes, which is Dowagiac, Michigan. Whereas motorists and large commercial trucks and vehicles go in excess of the speed limit, causing increasing danger to residents with dwellings on either side of M152 in referenced area. And whereas there has been an influx of residents and visitors of Sister Lakes who utilize the shoulder of this stretch of M152 for walking, running, and bicycling. And whereas there is increasing ingress and egress of boats and pedestrians at the Round Lake Public Access, where crossing M152 is necessary, as well as a newly established resort located on the north side of M152 in close proximity to the public access of Round Lake, where guests must cross the road to get to the beach. And whereas there have been fatal accidents over the years due to the existing speed limit and excessive speeding along this stretch. Now therefore be it resolved, the Keeler Township Board is formally requesting the Michigan Department of Transportation to conduct a speed study on M152 from 2 blocks east of County Line Road to 2 blocks east of County Road 690. It is understood MDOT in cooperation with the Michigan State Police will use engineering data gathered in speed study to make a decision which could raise, lower, or maintain the current speed limit. It is further understood Keeler Township will abide by the decision made by MDOT and MSP as a result of this speed study. And that is the scary part, but that that's what they have told us that we would need to do.
I got one more question. The corner of County Road 690 and 152, has there been any discussion with the state about making it a four-way stop?
Has that been done in the past? I was not requesting that.
They've requested blinkers, at least blinkers, and they rolled them out.
They rolled them out.
Is that from MDOT decision then on the blinker?
Because it's a state highway.
Because it's a state and they want to keep it rolling.
Yeah, they
East
said
to west.
blinkers tend to cause more accidents. That's what they said.
I'm not saying a blinker, I'm talking about a four-way stop on
Yeah.
all fours.
Same thing. Same thing, we asked them about a four-way stop, and they said no.
What was the reason for no?
Well, basically, they don't give us a reason, but they say it would cause more accidents than what they have now, because it hinders the flow of the traffic.
That's the idea.
I mean, that was before my time, but I remember that being stated.
Have you resubmitted to them?
Yeah, under her request, I mean,
Can.
they would consider everything, that's why they'll come back with recommendations.
Because
Carmen,
it's, you know,
yeah, that's
what do they wait for, 15, 20 accidents?
Up here on the 5 digits, 564, 121, missing a 1.
And I would like to inject it into this. because
Hold it down, please.
Because steamroller on us here with this county thing. I'd like to see it, no cost involved.
Yeah.
Oh.
It has to be added to the
Yes, yes
resolution.
it does. Because that could steamroller, we could be doing studies on every road in the township.
And the county charges $2,000 to do a study.
Maybe at that sentence, to conduct a speed study at no cost, put that in that verbiage there.
I'd recommend to make a motion to that effect. Yes.
To Keeler Township.
Yes.
Is there a second for that resolution? That motion for that resolution?
Who made
You know
the
what,
motion?
there was also the correction of the address,
Yeah.
and then attorney has suggested that it read a resolution formally requesting the Michigan Department of Transportation to conduct the speeds study. So that has to
With
be
that change,
reworded.
it'd be right.
With those changes, who made the motion? You motioned?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve this
Send this
resolution
in.
with those corrections that we made.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
If you want to put at the top, that would be 07-03-2012.
2012. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, moving on. I've had some discussion with Keeler Lake people about the anti-funneling going on out there. I have a letter in my possession that was sent in, and I just wondered if one of you guys want to read your letter yourself, or what you'd like to do. You're up then.
This is about the trespass of riparian owner rights and continual violations of anti-funneling laws. Sirs, please accept this as my formal complaint to all duly elected officials of Keeler Township on behalf of the riparian owners of Keeler Lake, in that the attached documents attesting to specific names and addresses of backlot owners that are presently, and as well have been over the past few years, exercising riparian rights that they do not have, being backlot non-riparian owners. Also attached are pictures of their backlot owner watercraft on said waterways of Keeler Lake. Some pictures were unable to obtain the watercraft registration info without trespassing. The riparian rights of lakefront property owners have been upheld in all local courts within the jurisdiction of Keeler Township over the past 10+ years. Case numbers are available upon request. It is our request as taxpayers of Keeler Township that any and all duly elected officials of said jurisdiction fully enforce the laws of the land without further delay. I have 3 further comments. Although I signed this letter, I represent a group of people on Keeler Lake that are very concerned about the riparian rights and the violations of the backlot owners. Number 2, there has been a various amount of opinions on this issue. some pro and some con. What we are attempting to do is have a clarification as to whether the anti-funneling ordinance applies to the backlot owners. My last comment is that last Wednesday I came up here and I got a copy of the anti-funneling ordinance, which I have read, and although I am not an attorney, it seems very clear to me that the intention of the anti-funneling laws was to prevent backlot owners from placing piers and mooring boats overnight. So I am seeking clarification from the Township Board on whether this law is applied, and I'm asking for the enforcement of it. Lastly, although I did get a copy of the anti-funneling ordinance, I attempted to present this letter to Mr. Alan Anthony. He would not accept it. I think that's a poor representation of the people for the people in the Township of Keeler. That someone who is employed by this township would not even accept the letter. I didn't ask him to do anything about it. All I asked him to do was accept it. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna have an argument between you guys or anything, so we'll discuss that at a later time. I did, however, make contact with Greg. We have sit down, we're gonna go out, and we're gonna get the registration numbers off those boats in the violation, and I'm gonna show him where those, I call them fire lanes, but lake accesses. Now, I do have a question about the park on the east side. I don't believe that the township can do a whole lot as far as the anti-funneling. If everybody on that park wants their boat out there, I'm not sure yet. I'm still going through the anti-funneling myself. But we will go investigate those other properties and look at those boats.
Will you get back to me?
I absolutely will. I know where you live now.
Thank you, Joe.
I will.
Mr. Commissioner, may I speak?
Yes, sir.
My name is Rich Johnson. I live on Keeler Lake. I'd like to draw the attention to the board as well as legal counsel that there has been a lawsuit filed by Mr. Baranek with regard to this very issue on Keeler Lake and what rights the backlot owners have. And it's been resolved in favor of the backlot owners that they have a right to put a seasonal pier on those park accesses. So the definitions of the park have been defined by legal authority. So I'd ask
Kelly, would you like to?
Yeah, one of the issues, Joe, is that every lot and every use is different. Anti-funneling is one thing, a deeded interest is another. There's many opinions coming down every month about riparian rights in the state of Michigan as it applies to not only us, but every other township. Probably the best thing for the board to do if your interest level is that high is to get us the factual situation as to which lots you're talking about, okay? Which piece of property is being accessed through, okay? And let us take a look at what the legal definition would be as to anti-funneling according to your ordinance. That's the best way. Otherwise, what you're going to get is my opinion, popular opinion, majority opinion, minority opinion, where we can tell you what the legal issue is, okay, and go from there.
And I can provide Mr. Page with a copy of the case law. I provided.
You don't need to do my research for me.
I understand, I have it, so it's easier to get. It's
All
hard.
all I'm telling you is that this pier issue is completely different than anti-funneling, I can tell you.
I understand that. I understand deeded access, I understand rights that are provided by easement and otherwise. Also, I would like to request a copy of the letter that we presented to the board and have Mr. Mueller identify those people who are in his group of those that are requesting that this be.
I have no problem with that, except that you're gonna have to give me a FOIA.
I'll give you a FOIA
request for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Joe?
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you're talking about riparian, are you talking about the water right in the park, as far as the water going out or coming in your land? I mean, normally when you're talking about those type of rights, it's, you know, how far out do you go? You know, your property or whatever it is. That was the big contention before in the previous lawsuit.
Well, I do know that a couple
Or
of them.
just the use of it.
I know. A couple of them that I saw out there that, in question that I have, is that they have a pier on the access, but their boat is actually over on private property. So we have to look into those situations. You know, I don't know if the people are allowing that to happen, if they're upset that that's happening. You know, we don't know. We're gonna have to talk to people door by door out there.
George Harley, I live on Keeler Lake also, and in regards to that case that Mr. Johnson mentioned, that goes back to 1978, and I don't even know if it even pertains because that judgment was before this anti-funneling ordinance was even in effect.
Every factual issue is different.
Is it? Okay.
You can skip one lot over, and the rights to lot number 19 and the rights to lot number 20 may be distinctly different, depending on what was deeded and what was reserved. So once I can look at the lots in question, and all the deeds, and the access parcels going over, I'll give you an opinion as to just that situation.
Oh, we have.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Sure.
Why is there some sort of problem up here, like, or I don't understand why we want to do this? I've asked George Lloyd.
Are you directing that to me?
No, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask Jordan Lloyd. I just can't see.
Well, I'd rather you not ask them. I'd rather you ask me. As far as I know, the only problem that's out there is they feel the anti-funneling law is not being followed.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna look into. Greg and I will go out there, we'll take pictures, we'll get the parcel numbers, we'll take them to Kelly, we'll get a ruling by our legal authority.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just have a question. Do you have all that noted, which parcels and which accesses that you're talking about? So that
I
you know
do.
which
I've got
ones?
pictures.
Okay.
I want that back.
Oh,
by the
yeah,
way.
you could get that. Yeah, you did.
Did you?
Yeah, you gave it back. Yeah, here it is.
Okay, we're gonna move on. A couple other things. I don't know if there's any other comment. We had a political sign issue brought up last month. I have no comments to make on it. I don't know if the board members have any other comments to make on the political signs. Okay, we're gonna go on. The fence at Big Crooked Lake. There's some comments to be made at Big Crooked Lake. I've talked to the board, or some of the board. I do know, to the best of my knowledge, Carmen thinks it should be gone, Tom thinks it should be gone, and I'm not positive what Carl and Bob feel on the fence.
I went and looked with Carmen after we had our meeting, and Carmen and I looked over the situation and talked with Mary Kay, and we came up with some proposals that we can present to the board tonight. We're open for, you know, I did some checking if you want to know it now, or?
Well, sure, I do.
Okay.
I do.
One was the possibility, Carmen and I think Tom were both in favor of removing the fence. And I checked with the guy that put up the fence, which was a Wiltsey Fence Company out of Waterloo. He said he could, and I gave him a request to remove the fencing, but leave the post, like every 10 or 15 feet, just a post in the ground. And he came up with a proposal of $1.40 a square foot, and the fence is 175 feet, so that would be $245 to remove the fencing. And he also had volunteered that he would store the fencing over there at Wiltsey, but he's not interested in buying it back. And that Carmen had asked when the date could be possibly, and he said he could start the week of July 7th, or this week.
Okay, I have one comment, I guess, to make on it, because this fence was put up before I was supervisor, and I am aware of the reason that the fence was put up. And I just feel personally that we need a time period to know that the problem's not going to continue to exist. Now, I've had 2 complaints that people are parking on the sewer platform across the road from that property. I don't know who it is. I haven't talked to Greg. He can go start running numbers to find out who those cars actually belong to. It's my proposal we put a no parking sign up where the sewer pad is, because I don't think there should be any parking there anyway, in case of emergencies or something like that, and they have to get in there. But my personal opinion is that I have no problem with moving the fence a couple of feet, if maybe you want to pay for that, or help pay for that, or something like that. The problem that I have is, as soon as we do something, and then the problem continues, then we've lost all our footing that we gained to begin with. And I know there was a lot of problems with that owner, that he just wouldn't do anything that the township asked him to do. I don't think you're gonna be like that. I mean, you seem to be really cooperating and everything like that. I just believe that I hate to just remove it. I mean, we can remove a section and see how it goes at that point if you wanna do that, but I just hate to remove the whole fence.
That was one other thing I checked in, because Carmen had brought up gates. If he put a gate in, so they would be adjoining each of the 4 cottages, each gate is $496.
Joe, my support for moving the fence was based on information that was provided, that night. I wasn't familiar with, other than looking at the pictures, familiar with and seeing what the activity was. It's been years since I looked at it. So over the last 2-3 weeks, just random driving by or riding by, I've seen cars parked on the wrong side of the fence. They're not being parked in, and these were not boaters that had parked. These were tenants of the cottages. One on a Saturday afternoon when just this last Saturday, and the access site was extremely active, and the residents of the last cottage on the lake, the far west cottage, were parked in front of the dry hydrant. And with no regard for the fact that, number one, they're not supposed to be parking there, and number two, we could have potential safety issues with, so I think to remove the fence, I'm changing my opinion based on my on-site inspection. It's an exorbitant cost to put, gates up, but I would think, that solves both purposes. People can ingress and egress, and the fence stays. Now, who pays for it? That, needs to be determined. That's my opinion now, based on on-site inspection.
I'd like to inject something here. No, I haven't been asked, but I will. Wasn't confirmed about who voted for what at that time before a meeting. But this fence was up when you purchased the property. Did you promise it was going to come down?
No.
Okay, so you knew it was there. Probably going to stay. Okay, Township has an expense for that fence. We've had bad experiences with it, and I don't think we ought to get involved in any more bad experiences. If we take it down, you should take it down and put the money in escrow that we paid to put it up, so we can put it back up if we have problems.
Joe,
But Tom's relating to the problem that we have, problem that still exists. So.
And I don't have any interest in the property at all. I don't use that lake, I don't access the lake. One of the things we went through when Carl Davis was on the board several years ago, we had a lawsuit in circuit court about variances and exceptions to zoning. And Don Blackman was on the board at that time. And Don, you remember the case where Judge Buell went through about 900 variance cases that this township has had since the day it became a township. And his indication before his ruling is that if I find you making exceptions to zoning and setback to variances, okay, I'm going to continue to grant this variance that this gentleman wanted on a setback. After Buell got done researching all our records, and I don't remember how many you took up there, Carl, but I know it's several hundred of them, he found no variances concerning zoning that wasn't consistent in Keeler Township. And this issue, if it was given, the next person that comes in, Joe, you're not going to be able to take the position, oh, we have to have this much of a setback. No, you don't have to, because you're starting to get variances on zoning on other areas. I don't know the right answer to the issue, but I don't think that the board has the authority to say, we're going to give you a variance, okay, on this issue of a site plan that was mandated back when the site plan was presented.
That would not include a gate, would it? I mean, there would be no variance.
There was no issue about a gate, there was the issue about a fence at that particular time. Because of I think at that particular time, the site plan provided that, I'm not sure the directions, but the parking was to be on the opposite sides of the structure.
East side.
And this fence was constructed to prevent people from accessing on that side. But I'm just telling you what the zoning issue is going to be if you arbitrarily just say we're going to change that.
Okay, can I have a couple of comments and questions? First of all, was it part of a site plan where the fence went up? Was that part of
That's what I want to take a look at. Okay, that was one of the issues in the previous zoning case we had with the court warned us. Once you set a precedent there at Keeler, if you're going to start granting variances and exceptions, you don't get to choose where the line is drawn.
Okay. Couple other comments, if we move the fence over 2 feet, now we're into township property. And then we're looking at a variance, and I don't know that that's the answer. My biggest concern is we have safety issues there. If anyone in those cottages needed assistance, needed an ambulance, they cannot access it because we're this far away between the fence and the buildings. So I think something needs to be done, whether the fence comes down or not, something needs to be done to grant them safety issues. I think it's too much of a liability for the township to have that there. There's no way for them to get on the other side. I mean, we're talking narrow on both sides, and I can't see stretchers going in there, people for emergencies running out of there, they cannot get out. So I think we need to do something.
The fire department actually put a letter to the board last year addressing just that.
Don?
Joe, when that fence was constructed, it's actually constructed on the township property. It's back off from the actual property line. And when that property, when it was purchased and the site plan was presented, it was presented with the idea that there was ample parking at the east end and that there was plenty of land to the north of every one of those cottages for the development of access, ingress, and egress. So I think it's incumbent upon the property owner to develop his or her own property so that it is to provide that access to their units. In an emergency, I can anticipate that the fence could be breached, be cut, and any number of things to provide for an emergency. But the problem is that there's a dry hydrant there. You have vehicles, motor vehicles in there, they don't get moved quickly, and everybody uses that, occupies those places as an adjacent parking lot. That was the reason, that was the purpose for the fence. And if you put in gates, you've only perpetuated the problem by allowing the access from the township property.
Well, it's pretty apparent that the board split on a few things on this issue. It's my opinion that it should be tabled for another month and the board do some more investigation on this and we'll come back and talk about it. Again, my personal feelings are that it shouldn't be moved because we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And, I mean, we may have the same problem that we had before to put the fence there in the first place. Now, if the owner wants to get over there with their Bobcat or whatever, make a road on the other side so they can get back to the other cottages, I truly believe the property is there, that can be done. So, does anybody have a motion at this time that they would like to raise in reference to this?
I make a motion the fence stays.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to keep the fence where it's at. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Actually, I'd like a roll call vote.
Millhouse,
Yes.
Landis,
Support?
Fleischauer,
No.
True,
Support?
Davis, support.
Joe, I would just like to make a comment that when that property was originally given a site plan, the owner said they would develop the north side of that property to make an egress to that. They told that to the township, and it took them several years, and finally with the frustration of all the problems that was there, we put a fence up. And so I really would encourage the new owners to look at developing the north side of the property.
Okay. The motion was carried. One other comment is you can come back to us in 3 months and we can, investigate whether there was a problem or whether you're living up way beyond your expectations to make us happy, but at this point, I think the fence needs to stay. Moving on, correspondence, I've got a letter from Carrie Ely, which I'm going to give to Dave Sexton to investigate or whatever he wants to do, but I'm going to read it quickly. Dear Keeler Township Board, on Friday, May 18, 2012 at 11:30 p.m. I was driving to Sister Lakes from Hartford. I drove into Keeler and approached Territorial. Keeler fire and rescue truck flew out in front of me. I barely had time to slam on my brakes. I started to go again. Another car came flying out of the intersection behind me. Again, I slammed on my brakes and let them go ahead of me because they obviously were in more of a hurry than I was. As they pulled away in front of me, they turned the four-ways on and caught up to the fire and rescue truck. The car was a little red car, something along the lines of a Honda, and was driven by a male with dark brown hair. By the time I got to County Road 342, the lights were in Sister Lakes and had disappeared. I understand that when there is an emergency, first responders need to get there as soon as possible, but putting others in danger by not slowing down at stop signs isn't going to get them there any faster if they cause accidents themselves. That's all I have to say on that.
Is there a phone number on there too?
There isn't, but Ely's are in the book. You can call Ely's down there, Sister Lakes, and get a hold of her. But I'll just give that to you and let you deal with it. I have one more letter from Michelle Pitcher. Dear Keeler Township Board, during the week of June 11, 2012, there was an occasion when Deputy Pentland and his partner came to my house on official business. The police officers, my son Michael, my husband Marty, and I were on the front porch of our home discussing an important matter. During our conversation, Mr. Alan Anthony pulled up in his vehicle and parked in the street in front of our home and then proceeded up our walk and began speaking to Deputy Pentland from the walkway. Mr. Anthony wanted to know what the deputy was doing after he left our residence. When Deputy Pentland stated that he was off duty once he finished at our home, Mr. Anthony proceeded to discuss his need to talk to Deputy Pentland about some township business, but let it be known that it was not an emergency and could be discussed the next day. Considering the fact that Mr. Anthony had absolutely no idea what business was being handled at our home, I find it very disturbing that he felt he was important enough to barge onto our property and disrupt the matter at hand. I am certain that Mr. Anthony has other means to contact Deputy Pentland concerning township business and suggest that he should utilize those methods in the future. I have no discussion on this. I don't know if the board has any discussion on it, but I would give it to Carl for file. I have one additional thing, no, a couple additional things, real quick. I had some work done, big willow tree at the end of Madison Drive, Lily Park. I took several bids and ended up with A1 Tree Service, who could actually do everything that needed to be done. So I asked them to take it down after talking with several of the board members. That's gone.
Joe, could I make a comment on that?
Yes, you can.
That tree was at the end of a fire lane where a lot of kids played. Rotten, olive, foliage, very dangerous. And I called Joe on it, and I was very appreciative. He jumped right on it and got it out of it because it was a bad situation. Thank you.
Thank you. The other is a road end in Pitcher subdivision. Road Commission brought about, I think, 5 truckloads of gravel to level off the back area on the back of Pitcher subdivision where there's a house back there and the road ends back there. That's been taken care of. I did call Joe Parman in reference to sand buildup at the tubes between the crooked lakes. It's stopping the water. I don't know what's causing that. Someone has told me people are dumping dirt in there. It looks to me like the boats going around in circle are just moving the dirt that way. Joe Parman's going to get that cleaned out. That's all the correspondence I have, Carl.
Remember, last month we had that Roger Moshenko do a study, he passed them down. He's come up and very good information, and it only took him a month, is our transfer site, that dumpster is gonna be reduced down to, the last time we had one emptied, it was $592.26, it now will be $310 reduction there. And then the 2 little 95-gallon roll-offs that we have, we were getting billed $53.18, will now be $35.48. So he's done his research there, and they're even going to refund us because they were overbilling us on those 95 gallons. So those are your copies.
Is this the same company or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The same.
You just renegotiated?
Well, we really didn't have a contract with Reliable, but now we do. So,
Okay.
and it will be a cost savings. No, it'll be a cost savings. The only other thing I had was, we've got correspondence from Western Insurance Agency, who is our policy, for writes our insurance. They are merging with Burns Hendricks Insurance effective, they did merge effective June 11th.
But it says everything will stay the same, it's just gonna be a bigger firm, that they can do more insurance. And Tim Foster was granted a DEQ environmental study to, he's asking for a withdrawal of water, and it says that it was approved by the DEQ. And I just have, I think you and I need to sign the 2012 tax millage form. I don't know if you had got a copy of it?
I didn't.
You did not? Okay.
I didn't get that.
And if we didn't have a public hearing, the allocated extra voted roads, police, and seniors will be what it is on this form.
Okay, can we send that out afterwards, Jeff?
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I
have one more too that I found.
And you posted a notice early of the DENR public hearing on July 19th.
Yep, it was in the paper.
Yeah.
Okay, go with yours.
I have an agreement here from the Waterville School District. They would like us to collect their school taxes for the summer 2012 instead of the winter. And we have an agreement. They have 15 parcels that would qualify for this to collect. And they'll pay us $250 a parcel for it, so I just need approval of the board to do that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we enter into a contract with Waterville School District to collect 15 parcels of the school tax.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anybody got anything else? I've got one other thing. The fireworks at Round Lake. Doug Swisher wants to shoot his fireworks off tomorrow night. I have the insurance certificate in front of me. I've signed it. Does anybody like to review it, or I think we should do a motion to allow him to shoot his fireworks?
We don't have any dry conditions, are we?
Well, the fire department, as far as I know, has not shut anything down
Actually,
for dry.
according to the new fireworks law, you cannot ban the use of fireworks the day before, the day of, or the day after a holiday.
And this is
regardless of conditions.
Regardless of conditions.
And this is gonna be out in the water,
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to allow this?
So moved.
Is there a second? Nobody wants fireworks. I'll second it. It's been moved by Carmen, seconded by myself. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. If there's nothing else from the board, we're going to move on to public comment. Bill?
Now that Pete has drugged the Blackman and the Hayes family through the mud, not only is a proper apology needed here tonight, he needs to do an apology on that website, not only for all his goons, but in case a smart person stumbled into that site. And let them know that these people did nothing wrong. And I mean it.
I approached our treasurer, went to the county, the state came back.
What treasure?
The county treasurer.
Okay.
No, it was not involved. So as of Friday, I was just reporting what the letter said. So if it was incorrect, as I've been proven, okay,
Will it
I'm
be on the
sorry.
website?
Yes,
That you were wrong.
that the treasurer misreported it wrong.
Oh,
I myself.
Wait a second, you don't feel you were wrong?
We're not going to have this argument, so if you guys want to discuss this outside, you can do that.
Come on, Pete.
What?
Pete, let's go.
The treasurer, I reported what the letter said.
Is there any other public comment? Right here.
I've got a question. The property next to me that's up for sale, foreclosed or whatever, it's vacant, it's been vacant for a while. There's a tree in the backyard that's lost several limbs already. It's rotten, it's destined to lose more. Those limbs hang right over my power lines. They already ripped them out of my house and the building next to me once. Left them live. I had power with the lines pinned under this tree and could not get help from anybody. Eventually, the power company came and at least killed the power and fixed it. But the tree's got more limbs hanging over it. I don't know who to call. It's not my property.
Well, if the board's on, I mean, if the property's on private property, the board's not going to take action on it. The bank, whoever may have the property right now in trust, they're kind of responsible to do the upkeep on that property, so. And I don't know who that is, if there's a sign out there.
Yeah, there's a sign on the window now.
I mean, maybe you can get a hold of somebody that way and tell them it is.
I wasn't sure if this was something the board could help with.
Okay. Any other public comment?
I just had a question.
Who? Chris?
Yeah,
Okay,
what's the DNR public hearing? Where at?
right here.
Okay.
Bill?
Yeah, Joe, I'd just like to put a public comment saying that most everybody probably knows that I am running for the Keeler Township Supervisor. I did that after a lot of months of thought. I feel that after all these years, that all the programs that we started, that I'm the best man to do this job. I've got a lot of energy. I think I've got the support of a lot of people in the community. And I feel like we'd like to make this move forward. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a sewer system that's not paid for. That's got to be maintained. We've got a lot of issues. I'm going to send a letter out to everybody in the future here in the next week or two explaining what I've done in the past. But I'm running on what I do, what I can do. What my opponents can do is their business. I could run on my record, and I appreciate everybody if they would just look at the record and not always look at what's written. And I'll be in contact with you in the future. Thank you.
Carl, you said something about DEQ and water withdrawal. Can you tell me where that was at?
Tim Foster property at,
We're gonna get over this.
his address is 80080 County Road 670, old fertilizer plant here about a quarter mile out of town, on that corner. Tim Foster Farms, it says. Yes, it says, the DEQ examined all reasonable available information to determine that the withdrawal is not likely to cause an ARI, and you are hereby authorized to proceed with making the withdrawal. However, the withdrawal has been verified as Zone B, withdrawal from the Mill Creek watershed, which is classified as a cold transition stream. You're saying how much can they withdraw? It says source capacity, surface water 168 GPMs, and then it goes to latitude, longitude.
168 gallons per minute.
168 GPM.
Thank you.
Did that help you?
Any other public comment? Don?
Yes, Joe, back on the 24th of June, there was a near drowning over on Magician Lake. You were probably aware of that.
I heard of it.
There was a woman, 66 years of age. Within an hour following the return of the emergency vehicles, there was a posting on a website, I've forgotten the exact name of the website, Citizens United or something of that sort. Town Gear posted that one of the two ambulances that showed up was not a 12-lead feed ambulance. And approximately 24 hours later, you posted on that same website that you had information that neither ambulance was a 12-lead feed. Now, I don't know that you ever posted anything different than that. The supervisor has to act in the best interest of all of the citizens of this township. And rather than post that you have information, you need to contact the people that provided it to the ambulance service. I'm going to provide you with Pride's information that both of the ambulances are 12-lead ambulances. Both of those ambulances were appropriately staffed at the time. And rather than serve as a conduit for gossip or the promotion of gossip, as supervisor, it's your duty to investigate that claim and post the true facts. When you contact, I have every reason to believe that you won't believe me. But if you go to Pride, you will find that both of those ambulances were present, and that since they were on an emergency run, there was a tape also run, which will demonstrate exactly where those ambulances were in the time frame that they were there. You'll also find that one of those two ambulances is a critical care ambulance. It's dedicated to this township. It sits 24/7, about 10 feet behind where you're sitting.
What does it?
And that ambulance is available 24/7 unless it's on an inter-hospital run. So I think you need to go talk to these people and get the information so that people aren't misled by your comments.
Can I address it now? I have found two bills in Keeler Township that are over $1,600. We're supposed to have a cap in Keeler Township of $895 on our contract. Everybody that I talked to about this, including my own board, put on blinders to not listen to what I have to say. I mean, I can show them the bills. I do know that there was an accident in Silver Creek Township where they took two people from the same family to the same hospital, and there was a discrepancy in the mileage that they charged both of them. They were in the same ambulance going to the same hospital, and there was a discrepancy. So, all I have been doing is keeping track of written complaints on Pride Care Ambulance. I'm not against them. I hope they work out. I hope they work out, but I don't think they're going to work out. So everybody can have their own feelings. I'm supervisor right now. I don't think they're going to work out. I'm not necessarily saying that Silver Creek Ambulance is the proper ambulance for Keeler Township right now. But I'm saying that, number one, there was a huge group of people that did not want to do that. I'm saying that Bill Kays would still be supervisor if he would have put out questionnaires to the people. If they'd have 51%, everybody shut up and go home. But it didn't go down that way. So there was a recall. He lost his job. I'm here now. I'm running for supervisor again, and I want your vote.
Good news is
And I have nothing further.
I have a public comment. May I? Why does he get to talk all the time?
Before you say that you have information, it would behoove you to identify the information upon which...
To who, Don? Nobody wants to see it.
You publish it on this website, and people seem to think that because you're a supervisor, you know something that everybody else doesn't.
Maybe I do. Maybe you should listen to more things that are on the
I need
internet.
to see that information from you.
You and Keith Pitcher.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Your lousy
If I
website.
might turn things
Then
away
don't
from
visit
the
it.
political banter here and things that are going on. Actually, the gratitude for that woman's life being saved belongs to the citizens who were there, who got out of their boat, the nurse next door. My department takes no credit for that. Pride Care should take no credit for that. They initiated CPR on that person. They brought her back to life. That's where credit is due.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I would just like to address every single person in this room. We're getting into a situation like we had last fall where we've got two different areas and we're butting heads. And I don't pay attention to what's on the internet or anything else, but I think that all of us, myself included, we should not be sharing information if it is not correct. And so I would just encourage everyone here and in this township, unless you have the facts, and that's when I ran, I said, I just want the facts, I don't want the rumors. Unless you have the facts, then I don't think it should be brought up because we've got a lot of dissension going on here. In my experience, just being on the board and being out in the community, we have a lot of good people. Every single person in this community, we've got good people, we've got good intentions, but I think that before anything is said, we really, really need to get down to the facts. Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about the ambulance thing. Explain to me what a 12-league fee is that you're talking about with the ambulance service.
Is the ambulance out there right now?
If the ambulance people are here, they can best answer my question.
Let me see if they're here.
Oops, the ambulance ain't here 24/7.
It's gone.
I'll make a motion, meeting be adjourned.
Not
yet.
Can I make a request that when you're out on Keeler Lake inspecting all these piers and stuff, you take a look at the fire lane boat launch and see about maybe grading it. It's getting pretty sloppy right at the water line.
I will look at it.
Take a look at that and maybe
I will look at it.
consider dumping a couple loads of gravel and smoothing it out a little bit so you can.
That'll probably be up to the road. Well, we'll have to pay for it. The road
Take a look at it and see
commissioner.
what you think.
I will do that.
I got a question.
Any other comment?
I do have a question.
Mary Kinney.
Is it supposed to be up to the board members to be impartial regardless of their personal feelings on what their decisions are
I'm
on
not
the
going to
board?
answer that question. I don't know
I
if
mean,
somebody else
what
wants
is
to.
that deal, Kelly? I mean, if you're a person on the township board, when you make decisions on this board, are you supposed to make decisions on the fact, or are you supposed to follow your brain, or what you're hearing.
Well, I hope so, Mary.
Would you just listen to me shut up for a second?
I would hope so. I got one.
I'm talking about on their feelings.
On which?
On their feelings, are they supposed to act on impulse, or are they supposed to act on fact?
I would
I'm
guess-
asking Kelly, not you, Tom.
I would guess, knowing any board that I represent, I sense that this friction's been going on since the last election. There's no question this
Well, don't
township
avoid a question. What is it?
about that whatsoever, okay? But any time that the public speaks to the board, I think it's only fair that the public get the factual position correct before the board can respond.
Let's circle
okay?
it, right?
All right. And once these human beings up here get certain information, if they in their mind are convinced that they're interpreting the facts the way they read them, I think they've got to vote their
Despite
conscience.
their political views.
What's that?
Despite their political views?
Yeah, they shouldn't be up here running for office.
No.
Or somebody.
What do you mean running for office?
I don't think their job.
Oh, I understand
I don't
now.
think their job is to say, what will keep me in? If I give a variance, and a lot of people are in favor of it, if I give a variance, okay, boy, I can continue to be elected.
Political favors.
But, that might violate the law. If someone were to say, I don't care about the law, I just want to be reelected.
Right.
Well, they shouldn't be up here then.
So if you see a board member up here obviously following something that's not protocol or shouldn't be doing something, what do you do about that?
Well, again, I think, Mary, the issue is.
That's just a question.
Yeah, the issue is, I just became aware of this issue about this assessment. And I think Karen McKay, when she was here earlier,
I'm not asking about that.
I heard her say.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about
Mary,
five board members.
that's exactly the question.
I'm asking about 5 board members.
Okay, Mary, that's exactly the question you asked me. What should they do? Should they say, oh, I got a personal opinion and I want to vote it?
No, not necessarily on that. I'm talking about on all opinions because since certain board members have
Well, what are you
been
talking about, Mary, so you and I are on the same.
specific.
The
Well-
same wavelength. What are you talking about?
Well, when I see Tom Landis making decisions, he doesn't look at the whole board. He looks at 2 and then plus the other 2 that were just here.
Now, are you addressing a question to me? or
No,
are you
I'm
addressing
talking to
a
Kelly.
question-
Because you're sitting over here talking to me and doing this stuff and going, oh.
I think Tom Landis has got to vote the way Tom Landis.
I know,
thinks.
but he's
Yeah,
gotta
I
be
think we're
fair
gonna
on
adjourn
this
the
board.
meeting. Are there any other questions?
He's gotta be fair on
Okay,
the
I
board.
entertain a motion.
adjourn.
Is there a second? We move to second, all in